This is NASCAR Coast to Coast. 60 minutes of NASCAR local and regional racing talk, interviews, and opinions. Here's Kyle, Rickey, and Buddy Long.
The NASCAR K&N West season finale this weekend in Phoenix. We'll visit with Long Island modified driver Justin Bonsignore to recap his season up north and recap the weekend down in the south. And Ryan Preece joins us here in studio. Should be an interesting hour. Welcome to NASCAR Coast to Coast here on MRN.com. Kyle, Rickey, Buddy Long, and Mr. Preece to our far left. Ryan, welcome to the Motor Racing Network studios. You were our very first guest 4 years ago when we started the Modified Madness show, and finally we get you in studio here.
Wow.
Yeah, I feel pretty special. It's pretty cool, actually. Never been here, and it's pretty cool to be here. But yeah. So how about this show?
How about this show?
How about it?
Okay, you got to lead with the first result of the weekend. What result do you have for us?
36 at Texas. It was a good day. It's a little different than what I'm used to saying,
Yeah.
but it was a learning deal, and getting completing all the laps we did, and not having any problems, just kind of figuring it out, and had a lot of fun. Texas is it's definitely it's a pretty quick place. It was like I was telling Tommy, the first lap out there in practice, I'm like, okay, this is a little bit different than a video game.
Obviously, we've had you on in the past a lot talking about modified racing, but those that may not know, you're running the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series the last 4 races of the season, plus you made your debut earlier this summer at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway. How's it been going? How comfortable are you getting in these full-bodied stock cars, something that you are obviously not accustomed to back up in the Northeast?
Yeah, a little bit different. I have fenders, so I can't see my tires. I don't have an air cleaner in the middle of the car, and it's a little bit heavier, but I like them. The more I get in them, the more comfortable I become, and the more I can kind of feel what my edge is. And typically in a modified, I like a freer car, and I'm finding that I can still do that in a stock car. It's just a little bit different, obviously, with that radial tire. But Zions Energy Drink, great sponsor, great. Really, really excited to have them back on board for Phoenix, and I had a chance to try their drink, and it was really good. So I'm looking forward to hopefully getting some free samples for my friends.
And we know you wouldn't say anything else. It's a great drink, but you've had a great opportunity here in these where you're halfway through your 4-race deal, because you have such very diverse racetracks. You go from the short track at Martinsville to Texas to a very unique Phoenix International Raceway this weekend, and then the Homestead Miami Speedway, a track that you're familiar with. But when you first got into the garage area, knowing the successes you've had in modified racing, everything you've been a part of, you've worked so very hard and done so well. How humbling an experience is it when you get into a Sprint Cup car with those guys?
It's really humbling. They're really good, obviously. So I try to stay to my own, and I've talked to Ryan Newman quite a lot. Actually, he's been really helpful. Alex, who drives for Tommy, he's been really helpful. Landon Castle's been great. I've reached out to a few guys, and they've been really good helping me, just trying to cut that learning curve in half. And it's been really good. I just kind of try to stay to my own and try to figure it out, because it's totally different for me. Obviously, with modified racing, you go from being one of the guys that's a threat to win every single week, no matter what you're in, and then you go into a Sprint Cup car and you're just kind of out there doing the best you can and getting laps, but it's totally different. But obviously, I'm very thankful for this opportunity, which is great, because you don't really get stuff like this. So Premium Motorsports, really big thank you to them, and obviously Tommy Baldwin for believing in me and making this happen.
The race weekends outside of the race car, how challenging has it been to adapt to be a Sprint Cup driver now? Just knowing the layout of these facilities, it's not like driving in the Little Thompson Speedway and Stafford Speedway in Connecticut and getting the rookie meetings and getting the driver meetings and everything that goes on in that infield when you're not on the racetrack.
Schedule is important. That's one thing I've kind of learned. It's a little bit different than when I'm at the modified deal. You just kind of know when your driver's meeting is, and everything else just kind of goes with the flow. You know what I mean? But this is all new to me, so there's a schedule. You gotta know everything that's going on, what time the practices are, what time the gates open. It's really important. It's a totally different level, and you can tell once you're a part of that. So it's pretty humbling, and obviously this is somewhere I want to be.
And when you're running for Premium Motorsports, they've got a couple of cars in the field. Timmy Hill's done a lot of racing with them. Several different drivers have been in the 98 and the 62. For you, them knowing that you have quite a bit, success in short track racing, and you're a very good talent, what are their expectations, knowing you have a 4-race deal, you're halfway through it, but what are their expectations when you get in the car, knowing you're at the tail end of a NASCAR Sprint Cup season, there's a lot on line for other drivers. What are they looking for out of you at this point?
I mean, Martinsville, I don't really know. I think it's more of just, run the best we can, not tear the race car up, because no team like you can't afford to do that. And, just show speed and don't do anything stupid. And I feel like that's something we've done. There was a little bit of hiccup at Martinsville, but at the same time, we would have had a really solid run there if we didn't have an axle seal break. But it is what it is. You're out there doing the best you can. Pass cars, kind of be that person that at the end of the day you aren't thinking about, but you see in the results that did pretty good. So that's kind of what we're looking for.
Said Texas wasn't like the video game.
No,
have you
absolutely
played?
not.
Have you played Phoenix on the video game? And how do you prep going into some of these races? And or is it even possible to prep at this stage?
Oh, I mean, you have to. This is the center stage. This is where these guys, talent can really only take you so far. You got to work hard, and that's one thing I've been really trying to do is watching on-car footage, anything I can really get about these races, and just trying to be as prepared as I can. I mean, for example, green flag pit stops. We got about halfway through that Texas race, and I was like, yes, we aren't going to have one today, just because I really haven't done one except for once in an Xfinity car, and out of all the races that we've done. So, we got to about lap 220 or whatever it was, 250, and I'm like, okay, we're coming up on a green flag pit stop, and I really didn't push it because it's better off going it a little bit slower, doing it my first time, than getting a penalty and having to come back through. So, I know I gave up. I was looking at some of the pit road data that Tommy got for me this morning to see how much time I gave up and how I can make myself better at that. And that's why, you learn from that. You try to make it better, and you keep getting better every single week.
And they talk about how many races are won and lost on pit road,
Yeah.
not just by the slip of a jack or the a lug nut being loose, but the timing. And I go all the way back to the Richmond Xfinity Series race in which Josh Berry had a great car for Junior Motorsports, and it was so cool to listen to the in-car radio because he was still trying to get his timing down because he hadn't been accustomed to this. He had a great, I would say, top 3 car. Very good run, but he apologized every time he came back, and it was during yellow flag pit stops. He just couldn't. He was trying to find a way to hit his marks. In certain circumstances, it wasn't always his fault. But, I mean, I don't think people really understand how difficult it is to hit your marks on pit road.
Yeah, timing lines are pretty important. Depending on where your pit stall is, too, that's pretty crazy. I never understood that either until, obviously, I got down here and I started doing it, and kind of how you can manipulate pit road speed with those timing lines. It's pretty interesting. That's why I'm saying there's a lot more into this than a lot of people would think.
All right, Ryan, you'll be with us for the entire hour, so it's going to be fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's going to be a good time. We're also on the show today going to chat with Justin Bonsignore, driver that had probably the worst start to a modified season that we've seen in recent memory. Bounced back nicely, finishing the top 10 in points, and he'll join us to discuss his 2015 campaign.
Yeah, big victory in the North-South Shootout at Concord, and ironically, by virtue of the circumstances after the race was concluded, that's the second time this year by virtue of something of this nature in which Justin has been able to be in the right place at the right time, and it probably is beneficial to him because for all the bad luck he had, he's finally got a little bit of good fortune, although he did win at Riverhead earlier this year. But, a very good rebound to get back up into 10th in the standings this year.
Did you ever win a race after a disqualification?
Probably at one point in time. I can't remember it. I don't like to. Yeah, actually, I can think about one, Martinsville. Yeah, so.
The first one, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was my first one. But
who was the winner first?
Burt Myers.
Burt
South.
Myers. Okay.
Yep. Yeah.
And you ended up getting the checkered flag when all was said and done.
Yep, I have that grandfather clock, so
there you go.
That's all that matters.
And not a lot of people can say that.
Yep.
Also joining us on the show today, David Mayhew. Unfortunately for him, not part of the Championship 4 this weekend, but another great season for him. 5th in points going into the season finale in Phoenix.
Yeah, a couple of victories this year. Many people felt that he, as we've mentioned before, along with Brandon McReynolds, they were the veterans that might lead this charge this year. I don't think they expected such a great uprising from some of the youth in the sport, but it's been very good. He's got a couple of victories on short tracks and the road course at Sonoma this season. A very solid year for David, so we're looking forward to a good run for him Thursday night as well.
How about the entry list for this Thursday night?
Wow.
38 cars, a lot of outsiders,
Who's
a
who?
lot of East drivers coming in. It's going to be like an all-star race.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very good mix, including your 2015 K&N Pro Series East champion, William Byron. He's going to be a good heavyweight out there. And Todd Gilliland, as we have talked about, the youngest driver out there at 15, that's going to be running. A lot of lineage there on the western side, so it should be fun.
Ben Kennedy coming back with a second car out of the Ben Kennedy Racing stable with Kaz Gralla, so it's going to be fun. On the Motor Racing Network, 7 o'clock Eastern Time for the pre-race coverage, 7:30 for the race coverage, as we go flag to flag from Phoenix International Raceway on Thursday night to kick off a busy race weekend in the desert. When we come back, David Mayhew, I think, is going to join us here after the break.
NASCAR Coast to Coast will be right back on MRN.com.
The road to victory lane isn't just for drivers anymore. Introducing the official daily fantasy game of NASCAR at DraftKings.com, America's favorite daily fantasy sports site. Just pick a team of 5 drivers and stay under the salary cap. Outscore your opponents and win. Hurry to DraftKings.com now and use promo code COAST to play for free. You could win part of the $1 billion in prizes being awarded this year. Enter COAST to play for free now at DraftKings.com. That's DraftKings.com.
Dale Jr. here. I wear Wrangler Advanced Comfort jeans for any occasion. With new styles and great fits, you'll look good and feel comfortable anytime, anywhere.
Wrangler Advanced Comfort jeans are built with a U-shaped construction, so they give you more room where you need it. And their 4-way flex technology moves with you for all-day comfort.
In the garage or out and about, Wrangler knows the ins and outs of comfort. Wrangler, real comfortable jeans.
Hey, this is NASCAR Whalen Modified Tour driver Timmy Salamito, and you're listening to NASCAR Coast to Coast on MRN.com. Now back to Kyle and Buddy.
And every time I walk by that car this year, I still thought of Ryan Preece.
Yep.
For whatever reason, and it's just because I wasn't around enough, but, you know.
You'd get confused, wouldn't you? It doesn't take much.
I did. Wow.
Well, this was the year to get confused because, like we said, you started the domino effect, moving Eddie Partridge, and then after that, everybody, with the exception of maybe Justin and Kobe and a couple of others, everybody switched. It's like, oh my God, I can't keep track of this.
Well, it's kind of like if you've been around the modified since '06, usually when one driver, and whether it's the 6, the 16, the 2, the 44 or anything of that nature, one of those rides that everybody wants to be in, when one person leaves, it's like it starts a domino effect, and yeah, you probably won't really see one of those probably for the next 2 or 3 years, I think.
So it's going to be relatively calm this offseason, you think, going into next year?
I would think so. As far as car owners leaving, I mean, it's kind of the rides that are available it's kind of narrowing, but yeah, I wouldn't expect to see anything different really this year. Maybe next year you might have 1 or 2 guys jumping around, but I wouldn't expect anything for a few years.
And we've alluded to a few of the car owners that have made some decisions moving into next year. One of them not on the tour, but one that you're directly involved with, Bill Park. He announced that after many years as a driver/team owner that he was going to finally hang up his helmet and his owner's hat as well. But talk about your relationship with Bill and the fun that you had on the island, because you scored quite a few victories when you had some downtime from the tour.
Yeah, awesome Bill from Manorville. He's a cool guy. I'll never forget, in 2011, I was kind of running part-time on the modified tour, and I remember I was hanging out with my girlfriend, Heather's, and all of a sudden I got this phone call from a 631 number, and I'm just like, I don't know who it is, and I listened to the voicemail. It's Bill Park, and he's asking me to drive his car at Riverhead, and it's just like, wow, this is pretty cool, and obviously over the years, I got to know him and his family, his crew. They're a great bunch of people, and basically it's like my second family. I loved racing with him. We always had a great time, and I'm happy I was able to win those races for him, and I was, every week going to Riverhead was a lot of fun.
Your thoughts, since you drive for the car owner that owns the place now, your thoughts about what we might see at the Riverhead Raceway in 2016. What have you heard?
Oh, a lot of fun. At least it's going to be family friendly. Eddie's got a lot of great ideas. He's got a lot of great people in place to not only help the fan aspect of it, but also help the racer aspect of it. There's one thing I felt over the course of the 2 or 3 years that I was there, it was kind of like one of those deals was where everybody was asked, "Hey, what do you think we should do?" It's when I race at Thompson or Stafford, it's like, well, you guys are going to do it this way, or you can go race somewhere else, which I think is kind of what's needed. You need order, and I think Eddie and Connie Partridge and everybody in place is going to help restore that order and make it a place where it's exciting racing, but at the same time, you're going to have your little stuff like I hear about people used to have at Riverside, Park, where you'd have your clown or you'd have some sort of a sideshow going in between races, not just downtime, trying to sell a few hot dogs. You're going to have some excitement, some fun, and get the fans involved. But that's what I think needs to happen. And Eddie's that type of guy. He wants entertainment. He wants excitement. And I think he's going to bring it back.
Grab that fan's attention the entire time, even though there's no on-track activity with cars, which is great. One of the things I liked about Riverhead, and I still do, is ever since we've been doing the show and following the modifieds, that is the track in which when a tour comes to town, a lot of locals join that particular race, and they have a great participation, which says so much about the base of the Wheel of Modified Tour. This is one of the biggest seasons I think they've had as far as car count in quite some time. But what a feeder system when you look at the tour-type mods at Riverhead, and then what you have at Waterford and Stafford with the SKs.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, Riverhead's also, they're going to start a new division up, I believe. It's the SK Lights, so they're going to even have another feeder system, and it's great. I mean, I really think the Northeast has its own little modified feeder system in general, and that's SK Lights. You graduate to an SK, and then hopefully you run well enough to where you get an opportunity in a tour mod, and it's pretty cool. I've gotten the chance to race with some kids that are younger than me. Obviously, I'm not that old, but I've been around racing tour mods for quite a while. And you see younger kids coming up and running SKs and SK Lights and graduating from one to the other, and you kind of see the differences and the ones, there's some kids out there that get it and they understand how to keep a car together and hopefully you see them running the tour one day and getting that opportunity. So it's definitely pretty cool.
All those little pockets of modified racing you seem to be a part of this year. Thompson, Stafford, Riverhead, the modified tour.
What doesn't he run?
Exactly.
I want to know.
I want to run some dirt stuff. Come on.
What's next year look like? Maybe some dirt. I know it's early right now, but what is 2016 shaping up to be? Are you still hoping to be at all of these racetracks every week?
I'm hoping that I can move up and do pretty much what I've dreamed of doing since I was a little kid. But if something doesn't come about, obviously whatever Eddie Partridge wants to do, Eddie and Connie, whatever they want to do, I'm in. They're great owners. Tommy Grasso works really hard. It's a great team to be a part of, and it's one of those deals where I've always said I want to race everywhere, and it's gotten to the point we're selling my family modified because we don't run it.
Right.
Because I'm pretty lucky to be racing for Eddie, who says, hey, let's go to North South, hey, let's go to Speed Weeks, let's go to Turkey Derby, let's run the tour, let's run the Southern Tour, let's run ROC, let's go anywhere. He wants to run the Race of Champions. I remember he mentioned that to me. Didn't really work out this year, but that's a place I'd like to go to. I haven't won the Race of Champions. I've raced there quite a bit, and that would be a pretty cool bucket list to win.
I think they just announced they were moving back to Oswego.
Thank God.
Speedway for next year, which has been a traditional place. Now, if you go down to the World Series of Asphalt Racing, you can kill two birds with one stone because you don't run every night at New Smyrna.
Yep.
So you got to get with, you're in the garage area with these guys right now. Some of them are there, some are not. And I don't know if Kenny Wallace still kind of sneaks around the garage. Crafton's there. Allgeier's there. The Dillon kids are there. You know where I'm going with this. They all run UMP modifieds over at Volusia.
Yep.
So find that off night in New Smyrna and get over there and get yourself in a UMP modified.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. I don't really know anybody in that kind of deal. So, I guess I'll have to talk around and see what's going on there. They look like a lot of fun. I've met Kenny a couple times because Kevin Mannion and Bono and Gary Putnam's race shop used to be right behind Kenny's house, so he'd come over with a beer every now and then and kind of hang out. So I've met him a few times, but they definitely look exciting to run. We've definitely had some fun.
Talked a little bit about this last month when you were on the show, and earlier today when you stopped in the studio early, and we chatted about, hey, this is the first year since 2011 you haven't won a championship.
Yeah.
But you were in every championship battle. How would you characterize this season as a whole? knowing that, okay, you fell short, but you were there everywhere you went?
The bridesmaid?
Yeah.
Pretty much. I mean, it's good. You know, a lot of people wish they could finish second, I guess, on the championship hunts. We were there everywhere we went, but we just, just couldn't put it together, I guess. The tour, we won quite a few races. We led a lot of laps, but it seemed like we struggled at the tracks that I'm usually pretty good at, but at tracks I usually kind of struggled at in the past, we were really good at. So it was like a flip-flop. But, and then Stafford and Thompson, just we had good cars. We just couldn't really put it together to win those championships. I had a lot of fun. It was a great year. I've won the most races I ever have in a season, 21 so far, and obviously it's been a great year. Just having a lot of fun, and obviously being with TS Haulers and them, great team, and East West Marine, great sponsor, and just still got one more modified race. We're going to Turkey Derby with this TS Haulers number 6, and we'll see if we can have some fun there.
And when you look at the pages of Ariel Racing News, each year you get to about this time, or maybe 2 months prior, dirt modified side, Stuart Friesen, Brett Hearn, Matt Shepard. Modified asphalt side, Keith Rocco, Ryan Preece, Teddy Christopher. You three are always right there in the hunt. You've always, it's just been incredible, even with driver changes or car changes, that you've still been able to maintain that consistency and be one of the top drivers each and every year, right almost to the top of the Northeast leaderboard.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. Actually, this year was probably the most fun I've ever had at Stafford, just because a lot more hands-on with my race car, because I house it at my SK at Stafford that we have partners with, the Poolins and Mike Paquette with CD Chassis. I house it there. I've been a lot more hands-on. We have a lot of fun during the week, and it's definitely something I would say is very important. If you wanna get better in the sport, you can only do so much driving. You got to understand what your race car needs and how to get it there. So that was something was definitely an eye-opener.
All right, more modified talk coming up here in a few minutes with Ryan and Justin Bonsignore from Long Island, another full-time participant on the NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour. He'll join us coming up in a bit, and then David Mayhew later in the show. But first, let's take a moment, get to know some of the stars of NASCAR's regional series a bit closer as we go off the wall.
Nick Drake, what's your pet peeve? I don't like the color green at the racetrack, and then I don't like hypocrites. It's big at school, so that kind of aggravates me. But other than that, I'm pretty easygoing. Nothing really gets into my head.
Jay Beasley, if you drop food on the ground, 5-second rule apply? Yes or no?
3 second, yes. No, not 5. That's too long. 3 second.
Doug Hobie, growing up, or even now, did you ever miss an event at a racetrack in favor of going on a date?
No. That has not happened. An event that I was supposed to be participating in? No, I don't think so. I mean, you plan in advance if you can, but in terms of, dating, racing always came first.
Austin Hill, if you could audition to be on a reality show, what show would you like to be on? Survivor, Big Brother, The Voice? I bet you'd make a great singer up there.
Yeah, I'd like to do The Voice. That'd actually be pretty cool. I'm always when me and my family are traveling or something, they always catch me singing in the background and stuff. So I'd probably do something like that.
Coming back with more of NASCAR Coast to Coast, it's Kyle Rickey and Buddy Long right after this.
Dale Jr. here. I wear Wrangler Advanced Comfort jeans for any occasion. With new styles and great fits, you'll look good and feel comfortable anytime, anywhere.
Wrangler Advanced Comfort jeans are built with a U-shaped construction, so they give you more room where you need it. And their 4-way flex technology moves with you for all-day comfort.
In the garage or out and about, Wrangler knows the ins and outs of comfort. Wrangler, real comfortable jeans.
Eventually, it's going to happen. You'll turn the key and your engine won't start. Don't lose your ability to get around. Visit O'Reilly Auto Parts for a Super Start battery. Whether it's a reliable economy, hard-working premium, or powerful extreme, you'll find it at an everyday low price. Don't let a dead battery slow you down. Visit O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
This is NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour driver Doug Coby, and you're listening to NASCAR Coast to Coast on MRN.com. Now back to Kyle and Buddy.
Welcome back to NASCAR Coast to Coast.
What did you say, Ryan? What'd you say?
That was completely staged.
Kyle Rickey, Buddy Long, Ryan Preece here on NASCAR Coast to Coast on this Tuesday afternoon. Joined now by Justin Bonsignore on the guest line. Justin, welcome back to NASCAR Coast to Coast, and congratulations. A big win for you and your team. And we understand not a NASCAR sanctioned event, but a big race nevertheless in that North-South shootout at Concord this weekend.
Thanks, guys. It's a pleasure to be on again. And, yeah, I mean, it was definitely a big win for us. Not the way we obviously wanted to win it, but at the end of the day, you got to take them how you can.
Yeah, it was so interesting because you mentioned, and you had to refresh our memory, that this was the second time something of this nature happened. But, you know, it's what it is. And I know people don't like to use that statement, especially when they're on the back side of that or the negative side. But what a great rebound for you guys. I want to say it's got to be a fitting end to a season that was just up and down, but fighting all the way back in a very tough tour to get back into 10th. You put a pretty good exclamation point on what has been a very trying season.
Yeah, definitely a nice way to go out. It looks like, that'll be our last race for the season with the 51 car. It definitely was pretty trying at times. Started off pretty rough. I had a really good stretch through the summer. Was able to sweep Riverhead. And a lot of times we were just in the wrong place at the wrong time, getting caught up in a few wrecks. But, we showed a lot of speed, and, everybody was still having fun, which is a big part of it. And, if we could just put the luck together for next year, I think we can have a really good shot at it again.
That's great. Hey, Justin, it's Ryan Preece. I just wanted to know, how was qualifying there in the rain?
It was definitely pretty interesting. There was a lot of us not too interested in taking part in it, but you knew there was going to be at least a handful of guys that were crazy enough to go do it anyway, so they kind of forced our hand on that. But it really was a lot worse in practice, surprisingly. We just barreled into that corner as deep as you could and hope it stuck. It was probably more of who had the biggest pair before who had speed on Friday night. So it was definitely something we've never done before, and hopefully we never have to do it again.
And Saturday, of course, a complete washout here in Concord. A lot of folks went over to some local go-kart tracks. What did you do for fun to kind of kill the day on Saturday?
We spent probably about 3/4 of the day trying to get in at the go-kart track. We tried GoPro first. That had a wait. We went to the pit. That had a longer wait. We ended up going back to GoPro later that evening and tore some stuff up over there.
Not surprising at all. Hey, by the way, I don't know if you've been doing the past couple of off seasons, but you and Ryan have both done some indoor racing in the off seasons the past couple of years. Maybe not recently. I know you've done some. You've dabbled in some indoor champ card racing. I know you said this was the last race of the year for you in the modifieds. Any off season plans to do some indoor stuff before you hit the modified trail next year?
Yeah, I actually purchased a TQ car for this winter. I rented Teddy's car last year and had a blast with it, and saved my pennies all summer long and put together my own deal. We're actually in the process of stripping the car, getting everything redone, and going through everything, and just kind of learning the ins and outs of how they operate. And we're going to try and run all three of Lenny Salmon's shows starting, I believe it's January 2nd in Allentown, and then we'll hit Trenton and Atlantic City. So looking forward to it. It's a shame the season's kind of coming to an end already, but it really never ends, I guess, if you're going to indoor race.
But I was going to say, love those indoor shows because it gets the racers and the race fans through that grueling off season and into spring when the race season starts back up, especially up in the Northeast when the snow melts. How would you kind of summarize and characterize your season? Obviously, a rough start, 20th or worse in the first 4 races, but a nice rebound during the summer months, picking up 2 wins at Riverhead.
Yeah, I mean, I think the best word is trying. It gets you down a lot. Racing is definitely a humbling sport to come off of last year where we nearly, had a good shot at the championship up until the end. We came out of the gate thinking we were going to be right there again and, we would contend for it. And to go all the way to almost June before we even finished the race was rough. And then we hit a stretch where we run, we couldn't do anything wrong. We were finishing in the top 5 every week, and then it turned back again. So it was just very up and down. You look at the results, though, and it was only 5 or 6 winners on the whole series. So to get 2 wins on a series that's that is as tough as it is, it's still pretty still pretty cool. You can't call it a disappointing season by any means. I've gone years where we can barely even run in the top 10. So we show a lot of speed, and like I said, we just need to get the luck part of it. It's a whole package. I mean, example, the fall final, me and Ryan end up being in the same wreck. He's going for the championship and just gets a bent Nerf bar. I just clip him in the Nerf bar and blow the radiator out. It's just, some years things are going to go your way and some years they're not. So it's just part of racing.
Okay, Ryan. So is that
memory.
your favorite Justin Bonsignore moment on track with him, or is there another one out there that you want to regale him with?
Yeah, I mean, he propelled me off of getting wrecked any worse, I guess. Usually Justin and I have some good runs at Riverhead together and have some fun there. Never really had any bad run-ins with Justin. We've always usually just banged off Nerf bars or had a little bit of fun.
Justin. Yeah, can't recall any time. I do remember getting the bird from him one time years and years ago, but that was, fun, I guess.
Justin takes that as a compliment sometimes. He smiles when he gets that.
You know what? That actually reminds me. I think at the World Series I might have gave it to you again. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I remember that too.
I forgot what I was going to ask. All right, Eddie Partridge, you talked earlier with Ryan about buying Riverhead Raceway just a couple of months ago. You grew up there. You race there weekly, and obviously do really well there every time the NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour goes there. I don't think we've talked to you on this show since the purchase. Your thoughts about Eddie stepping in, purchasing the property, and obviously keeping it as a racetrack and improving on the entire race program there for 2016.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a huge positive for the whole Long Island community. Not to say that the comedy didn't do a great job, but I think bringing in some fresh faces will bring back some car counts. He's got some really good ideas with new divisions, some stuff off the track to get the fans back in the stands. And I think, like I was listening before with Ryan on, I think they'll bring control back to the right people and not leave it up to such an open committee all the time. I know we're talking about with the M3 team to hopefully put together a weekly car to come back next year. I've been kind of not going there too often just because of not agreeing with things. So I'm excited for the change. Hopefully they add another tour race. I've heard this talks of a third tour race, and I'd be the last one to be against that, considering we've run so well there recently. I think it's going to be a shot in the arm for the whole community here. We don't really have too many options. I've done the traveling thing. Ryan does it down to the island. He knows how tough it is to get on and off this island. So, I tried the Stafford thing on Fridays, and it's just too hard. So I think, if people can have an option where they're happy to go race on Saturday nights locally instead of having to travel 3 or 4 hours, I think they'll come back to the racetrack. And, it just has to work for everybody. It has to work for the owners, but it has to work for the fans as well, and for the teams. We have to be able to, not lose our shirts every week going to the racetrack.
And such strong support that you got from that racetrack, and what a shot in the arm. It goes, from the Cromarty family to Eddie Partridge, who's always had this track near and dear to his heart. But we talked with Ryan earlier about the major support that the local track gives the tour when you guys come into town. So many locals have stepped up to run the modified tour there, and have done such a tremendous job. When you look at the series, I know it wasn't the year that you wanted, but still rebounded for a 10th place finish. What's your thoughts as you assess the series overall this year?
I think the series was definitely on the upswing this year. You saw a lot of car counts. Obviously you're hearing some rumblings now as the season came to an end that, maybe some teams aren't coming back and whatnot, but I think you always get that towards the end of the year. I think that NASCAR is doing a really good job. As always, I wish, maybe we could, get the purses up a little bit more for these car owners. I'm heavily involved with my team, and I know how much it costs for these guys to get us to the racetrack every week, and I just wish we could take a little bit of the burden off of them. But I also think with the TV package we had this year, and that only being the first year, that maybe, moving forward, we can get all of our races on TV, maybe a few of them live, and we can bring it back to those days where they had corporate sponsors like you see and read about, and get our series back to that thriving level. But, like everything else, it's a group package. It's a group effort, between NASCAR, the fans, us, the teams. It's everybody's got to be working together, and I think the tour can get back to its heyday if everything keeps going this way.
We talked about the financial aspects of it a moment ago as far as the purses. I guess my next question to the both of you, and we'll start with you, Justin, is the number of races that the tour runs. This year, 15. obviously years ago in its heyday, over 20, 22, 24 races at all sorts of short tracks around the Northeast. Is 15 enough right now in this current economic situation?
I mean, I could see both sides of it. I think as far as my race team, I've talked to my owner a little bit about it. He's all for more races. I'd say probably 20 would be a good number. And if they spaced them out maybe every other week or minimize the back-to-back stuff, because like a lot of our crew guys are, they're just weekend guys that work normal jobs. Pretty much all of them, besides my crew chief, are working normal jobs that they have to spend a lot of their vacation time and time off to come and be with us, and they have families, and just make it a little bit more easier for those guys. But I can also see NASCAR side of it too, with not getting too many races. So I'd always like to see some more. I'd like to see some road courses, maybe some more companion races with the Cup guys. As a driver, you're never going to turn the races down, but it depends on the money side of it, as always.
And one of the things we've seen is the economics of it. We've always wished, as race fans, Kyle and I, that New Smyrna could be a tour race. But we know that's tough, Ryan, because, there's so many blue-collar owners, crew members, drivers that just can't take all that time off and get down to Florida. But it's still a pretty good turnout down there as well. But it's pretty tough.
Yeah, absolutely. Like Justin was saying, 20 is a pretty good number. 20, anywhere from 20, 18 to 22 or whatever it may be, would seem like it could be a good number. But, it's like Justin also said with the purses, if they could be raised up a little bit, the bonuses they had set in place this year, if you won the races, you didn't do too bad. It would at least salvage what some of these owners are spending. But, I'm right there with them. The tour, I wish there was more races, but not at the same tracks. You'd like to see them going at, traveling down here some or for example, Indianapolis Raceway or O'Reilly Raceway Park. That's a huge one. I've always wanted to go to, but it never seemed like it would end up on the schedule. And we travel to some tracks that are 12 hours away as it is too, whether it's Bristol or there's another one I'm thinking of, but driving all that way, it's just a ride. I think if it was a new track, something fresh, I think a lot of people would be excited about going to it.
I always thought a modified truck doubleheader at Martinsville on a Saturday.
There you go. Yep.
I would love to see a lot of modified truck doubleheaders,
Absolutely.
and I would like to see us be able to do both of them in a perfect world. Justin, you talked about how cool it was to have John Blewett's name attached to this race that you won. But that's how the season started for you, winning a memorial race down at New Smyrna. So a pretty good bookend year. Talk about that a little bit, but also I know we may be jumping the gun. Are we going to be able to see you guys back down at New Smyrna for the World Series?
Well, it was actually last year. I won the Richie Evans Memorial. I think Ryan actually won it this year.
That's right. That's right.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool. Very, very humbling to win a name with a race with John Blewett's name attached to it. I've known the Blewett family, Jimmy in particular, for a long time now, since he was racing for Eddie and Connie back at Weekly Series and at Riverhead years ago. Become pretty good friends with him, so it was pretty cool to get a text from him after he had landed from his plane and finally heard the results. So that's it's pretty cool. As far as speed weeks, we're usually pretty last minute on deciding stuff. I think we're really most likely waiting on what the schedule of events is going to be this year for Smyrna. We had heard they're making some changes to when the modifieds, what nights we're going to run, and maybe just make it a Monday to Friday thing this year, make it a little bit better for the teams. So we're waiting that out right now. We're kind of decided to maybe not to put too much effort into stuff like that, and maybe do a little bit more testing. It seems like guys like the 2 and the 6 definitely benefited from stuff like that this year. So we're going to concentrate on what's best for the team to go ahead and try and go after a tour title. But if money allows and the owner wants to go play in Florida, who's going to turn down a vacation for a week in Florida?
Absolutely. Well, we hope to see you down there in February, and congratulations again on your win over the weekend at the North-South Shootout. Thanks for taking the time to join us, and hope we can do it again soon.
Thanks. A pleasure being on. It's always good to be on. It means we want to race.
Absolutely. Justin Bonsignore joining us here on NASCAR Coast to Coast. When we come back, we still have one more championship battle to settle here in the States.
Well, we got to talk to a guy with fenders on his car. We can't. It can't be all open wheeled. I wish you could.
Well,
we got to talk to somebody.
He raced with fenders.
That's
this weekend.
right. That's true.
In some Cup race in Texas, and did well. Finished the race and was a part of a 3-way battle there at one point for the race lead. Not you, but
Oh yeah,
He's like, what?
I was like, I'm sorry, did I miss something?
you were in the middle of it.
Man, these races really are that long if you forget about that.
When we come back, David Mayhew joins us to talk about the NASCAR K&N West season finale this weekend in Phoenix.
NASCAR Coast to Coast will be right back on MRN.com.
O'Reilly.
Improve visibility when you replace your worn wiper blades with a pair of Bosch Icon or Trico Force wiper blades during O'Reilly Auto Parts See Better, Drive Safer sale. Plus, get a $20 O'Reilly gift card after mail-in rebate. See better with Bosch Icon or Trico Force at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Restrictions apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Dale Jr. here. I wear Wrangler Advanced Comfort Jeans for any occasion. With new styles and great fits, you'll look good and feel comfortable anytime, anywhere.
Wrangler Advanced Comfort Jeans are built with a U-shaped construction, so they give you more room where you need it. And their four-way flex technology moves with you for all-day comfort.
In the garage or out and about, Wrangler knows the ins and outs of comfort. Wrangler, real comfortable jeans.
This is NASCAR K&N Pro Series driver Cameron Haley, and you're listening to NASCAR Coast to Coast on MotorRacingNetwork.com. Now back to Kyle and Buddy.
All right, thank you very much, Cameron. One driver that will be in Phoenix this weekend, but not in the K&N race. Will be running in Friday night's NASCAR Camping World Truck Series race, in which you can also hear on the Motor Racing Network. It's going to be busy out there this weekend. Can't wait to get out to the West Coast and see the NASCAR K&N Pro Series West and a lot of these drivers on Thursday afternoon. And one driver that we'll be talking to on Thursday joins us now on the guest line, David Mayhew. David, welcome back to NASCAR Coast to Coast. Ready to get to Phoenix, a track that you have won at in the past, picking up a win there a couple of years ago.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, guys. I'm really looking forward to getting out to Phoenix here. We're going to head out in the morning and see what we can do. Weather looks like it's going to be pretty nice, so looking forward to it.
See, it just goes to show you don't have to win to be on the show. We get the top guys on here all the time, and that includes you. But that's very interesting because Kyle and I have talked to you about the Phoenix racetrack. It's a very unique circuit that everybody runs on. You've run at Evergreen this year, one of the short tracks, one of the road course at Sonoma, which is very interesting. I mean, very tough to do because that field is stacked at Sonoma. Take us on a lap around Phoenix International Raceway and how you get a car set up for two ends of the racetrack. They're so totally different from each other.
Yeah, no, Phoenix is definitely always a compromise. You're going to be either really good at one end or the other, and then hopefully you're just pretty good at the other end. We try to get the car going into one. Our race starts, I think, right around 5:30, so the sun's probably going to be pretty tough. That's one of the biggest obstacles there at the beginning of the race is getting through the sun, getting into one. And then you really need your car to turn well and come up off the bottom real straight and get a good run into the dog leg because most of the passing is going to come and get into 3 right there. So you really want to make sure you can get out of turns 2 really good. And 3 and 4, there's a lot of different options as the race progresses. You can move around. You'll see guys all the way down almost near the grass on the apron, all the way up. You'll run within a couple feet of the wall there towards the end. It seems like the last couple of years it's really gotten really wide for us, so it makes it fun. You can use the apron to make your car turn. If you're a little loose, you can get up and go run a little higher and get a better run off. So it leads itself to some really good racing because everybody's car is not going to be perfect on one end or the other. So you have a lot of options to move around and get somebody if you can.
So that's the new layout. This will be your 14th start at Phoenix International Raceway on Thursday night. What do you prefer, or what did you prefer, the new layout or the older layout before they reconfigured the place a couple of years ago?
I think the newer layout's a little bit better. It opens almost what you almost call a joker lane down there going through the middle of the back straightaway. You know your car is going to take a beating when you do it. But, so it's definitely not something you want to do every lap, but I feel like you can gain a little bit on somebody when you're trying to make a pass by going real low back there. So it's a different element added once they repave back there. So it's definitely a little bit different.
35-plus entries in the field for this weekend's Arizona Casino 100, including the gentleman that won the championship a year ago, Greg Pursley, one of your veteran racers that will be back trying to start his 100th event. Been a good mix all year long of veterans, but a lot of young drivers, and then a lot of outside invaders coming to the event this Thursday. Should be a great one for you guys.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me almost of an East-West shootout like we have at Iowa. I mean, with all the guys coming, it's going to be we're really looking forward to it, having so many of the East guys come out, and then guys like Greg. It's awesome having the most competition. It makes it a lot more fun race and a lot more gratifying if you do pull off a victory.
As a series regular, are you okay with these East Coast invaders coming over? Because I know you finished second to one to open up the season at Bakersfield. Dalton Sargent, I believe, picked up the win on that afternoon. You all right with this big entry list? And I think there are 6 or 7 East Coast regulars that are going to partake on Thursday evening.
Yeah, no, I love it when they come out and run. It makes everybody out here, makes us step our teams up and know you're going against the best of the best. And I mean, if we're willing to make the trip all the way out here, they're coming out for one thing, and that's put their points aside because their season's over, and just have faith, pass race car, and try to win. So if you can go out there and beat those guys, that you beat the best in the business that weekend. So it's a lot more fun on my end having there.
Great way to end the season, and Phoenix is a great atmosphere for the NASCAR K&N Pro Series West drivers. I know that we've talked about it so many times, obviously the youth movement on the western side, which is building a tremendous base out there. But for your part, I know you didn't finish where you wanted. Everybody wants to win the championship, but still 2 victories, one on a short track, one on the road course with a very stacked field, as we mentioned. Why don't you assess your season for us a little bit? And I know you know where the bump hit in the road and what got you. But how would you overall assess your season this season with the team?
I mean, up and down for sure. We've had the speed all year long, I feel. We just had a couple unfortunate instances where we've had problems while we're leading races, which that hurts a lot more. And you got a 5th, 6th place car that day, you have problems. Seems like we haven't had problems on those days. It's been the days where we've had dominant cars or running 1st or 2nd. So just happy with the speed we have in the car. Really looking forward to Phoenix. We got a new car we're going to take there, and it's be a good way to cap the season off with another victory.
Have these kids surprised you? And for the most part, they are kids. I mean, Noah Grayson, Grayson Raz, all still, I think, in high school. Chris Eggleston, Ryan Partridge, all newcomers to the series, all in their first full season in this division running for the championship. Did that kind of take you off guard at all, especially early to midway through this season?
Not really. Those guys are with some real veteran. Even though they're rookies, they've got some really veteran guys they're leading them in the right direction. And you guys got like Bill Sedgwick and Jerry Pitts and Jeff Jefferson, guys like that running those teams. It's they're going to be a force to be reckoned with every time they go to the track. And with the guidance of the guys with the experience, all of them have done a great job. I mean, it's been fun racing with them all. It's been clean racing for the most part, and everybody tries each other hard, clean, and couldn't be happier for those guys that are going for the championship this week, and they've done a stellar job all year long.
And you kind of went in the direction of where I wanted to ask my next question, because most of these drivers don't really have a veteran teammate. A lot of them are both young. So, yeah, you lean on the Bill Sedgwicks and the veterans that have been in the sport of the NASCAR Winston West Series, a Steve Portengay type person that's out there. But have some of these drivers, even though you're a competitor to them, come to you and try to get some advice and learn their way around some of these racetracks that you've been around for many years?
I think a lot of the West guys, I mean, we talk a lot and amongst ourselves, and it's a good little good West Coast deal we've got. I mean, everybody's pretty friendly, and I mean, you definitely help somebody when you can, but and like I said, they've got great coaches and mentors on each of their teams, so it's hard to offer up advice, but anytime anybody asks, we definitely help all we can.
You've dabbled over the years, especially on the West Coast in the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series. We've seen you in events at places like the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Any opportunities down the line that we might see you back in the truck garage in the future, whether it be just the West Coast races that we run either early or late in the year, or maybe a more part-time schedule?
Nothing as of right now. I mean, I'd love to get back in a truck or nationwide car, but just as it sits right now, we're going to concentrate on this last race and then see where next year brings. It's one of those things that's always up in the air, and it seems like a lot of those deals come together last minute, but definitely never out of the question. Would love to do it, just need the right opportunity.
We saw you kept yourself fresh over the weekend, taking third in the Ironman 125 at Kern County Raceway over the weekend. Parker Stevens and Derek Thorne ahead of you. So you had a chance to get a little bit of late model racing in to stay fresh and get tuned up for this Thursday. In the off-season, anything else, anything happening out there? We know what happens in the Northeast. There's a lot of indoor races that some of our drivers can go to, but anything for you in the off-season that you can do to kind of keep that driving style fresh?
We have the winter showdown out here at Kern County Raceway in February, so we've got that. I race Polaris Razor in the Lucas Oil Off-Road Series, so we get to race that a few more times and a few times before the season starts for the NASCAR stuff. So a little bit here and there, and getting my kid into racing, so at the track with him some, and always seems like something pops up. So we're always keeping fresh, doing something.
But Dad's not going anywhere, right? Right. He's not going anywhere.
Yet.
Okay.
How much, and Buddy just touched on a few of the events, but how many extracurricular races do you do outside of the NASCAR K&N West Series over the course of a season?
We probably do 10 or 15 events throughout the year when we're not running the K&N West.
That'll keep you busy.
There's always something, it seems like. You go through the calendar, and there's not too many free weekends, that's for sure. But come March there, you'll be itching to go again. It's nice having a little break in the schedule the last couple of weeks with some free weekends, but once you have a couple of free ones, you're right back to looking forward to racing again. So it's kind of a little cycle we always seem to go through.
I'm going to get back at it this Thursday night live here on MRN and the Motor Racing Network, the NASCAR K&N Pro Series West Casino, Arizona 100 from the Phoenix International Raceway. David, thanks for taking the time to join us here on NASCAR Coast to Coast. Look forward to seeing you at the racetrack in just about 48 hours from now.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me on, guys. I appreciate it.
All right, fifth in the championship standings, just a couple of points out of the championship contention. When Chris Eggleston takes the green flag, David gets eliminated from chase contention.
Well, that's no fun. That's not fun.
Well,
no. He's a good guy. I mean, he's been a steady driver, and I'm sure a very good veteran influence on the K&N Pro Series West. And glad to hear that he's coming back next year. That we're going to see him back there, and another Mayhew coming up the ladder. So that's going to be good.
When we come back, we will wrap things up here on NASCAR Coast to Coast with Buddy Long and our in-studio guest, Ryan Preece.
Coming back with more of NASCAR Coast to Coast, it's Kyle Rickey and Buddy Long right after this.
Dale Jr. here. I wear Wrangler Advanced Comfort Jeans for any occasion. With new styles and great fits, you'll look good and feel comfortable anytime, anywhere.
Wrangler Advanced Comfort Jeans are built with a U-shaped construction, so they give you more room where you need it. And their 4-way flex technology moves with you for all-day comfort.
In the garage or out and about, Wrangler knows the ins and outs of comfort. Wrangler, real comfortable jeans.
O'Reilly.
A rough-running engine could be suffering from buildup of fuel and oil deposits, but O'Reilly Auto Parts can help. Clean out engine buildup and improve fuel economy with Seafoam Motor Treatment. On sale for $7.99 each at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
This is NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour driver Ron Silk, and you're listening to NASCAR Coast to Coast on MRN.com. Now back to Kyle and Buddy.
All right, welcome back to NASCAR Coast to Coast, wrapping things up. It's going to be a busy weekend for a lot of our short track aces, I guess you could call them, in Phoenix. Some big news this week. Rico Abreu going to run the last two NASCAR Camping World Truck Series races beginning this weekend in Phoenix and going to Homestead for NTS Motorsports.
Yeah, it sounded like pending approval, he'll have a chance to run at Homestead as well with the NTS Motorsports gang as a teammate to Daniel Hemrick, who we have mentioned has moved on to, or will be moving on to Brad Keselowski Racing next year in the Camping World Truck Series. And also some good news for Anthony Kumpen, our former Euro Series champion.
Yeah, finished fourth in the standings this past year. Will be driving in the NASCAR Xfinity Series this weekend in the 55 car for Precision Performance Motorsports.
Which is Richard Godovic.
Yep.
And, of course, if people know that name, Brandon Godovic ran the K&N Pro Series East. They have the 55 car in the Xfinity Series, which used to be Viva Motorsports, and Jamie Dick. So they're down here in China Grove, or just up the street from us in China Grove. That's where their shops are. And wish them the best. They've run a very, very limited schedule this year, just getting their feet wet, and hopefully next year we'll see a lot more of them.
And Ander Villarino picking up the championship in the NASCAR Euro Series this year, his second in the last 3 years. But good to see Anthony Kupin, one of my go-kart partners last year. Something that hopefully one day you'll get to experience, Ryan.
Yep. How about that?
You haven't had a chance to run against him in GoPro yet?
Oh, yeah, I have. I've punted him a few times.
Have you?
Yeah, I think I got kicked out because of him. So
Imagine that.
We'll have to go this week.
I'm ready.
All right, maybe tomorrow.
I got tonight and tomorrow.
Hey, you better hurry.
Tomorrow. We'll throw a couple GoPros on, and we'll have to air it on your little TV show you got over here.
Do we have to wait until it gets to 50 degrees? I went with you last year, and we sat there at the counter. You get a few dollars off when it gets to 50 degrees.
You, man, when you're on a budget, you wait. you do not go until it hits 49 degrees.
So we sat at the check-in desks at the go-kart track, and we had to wait for that 1 degree. And we must have waited for that sun to go down for 20, 30 minutes for that 1 degree.
Might have been even longer, yeah.
Hey, you said you were selling the family team. Why don't you put Heather in the car and get her back in modified racing again?
Oh, I'm sure. I got her seat, so maybe we'll have to I'll have to talk to my dad a little bit about that. But you never know. Maybe she'll be back in a modified pretty soon.
Cool.
Heather DeRozier, of course, a former SK Light modified driver and winner at Stafford Motor Speedway, and then moved on to the SK modifieds for what, a year or 2
Yeah, she got
seasons.
Rookie of the Year, so that was pretty cool.
And then went into retirement and is now supporting you every Friday night at Stafford Motor Speedway.
Yeah, she hears this, she's going to kill me.
So what'd you think of your first time here at the Motor Racing Network?
That was pretty fun. I had a good time. Maybe we'll have to have Doug Kobe on the next time. We'll have some fun with that.
Lordy.
Of course, we keep mentioning Doug. Of course, these two came together at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway on the final lap. I believe you were leading.
Yeah, it's all
going
good.
into turn one.
Yep.
And something about a police report that was filed the very next morning outside of a health club where you were waiting for him. Is what I'm gathering?
Yeah, CrossFit. I would have. Yeah, he didn't show up.
Ryan, thanks for joining us for the entire hour. We hope to have you back here in studio down the road, and best of luck to you this weekend, Phoenix International Raceway.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on. And obviously, Zions, the energy drink. Great drink. Go out and order some. Have some fun.
Look forward to trying it this weekend. Just to let you know, buddy, another quick show. We'll do it again next week. I believe next week is our final one for the season.
It is indeed. We'll have our K&N Pro Series West results in.
That's it. And make sure you listen to the NASCAR K&N Pro Series West race this Thursday night, 7 o'clock Eastern Time here on MRN.com. For Ryan Preece, Justin Bonsignore, and David Mayhew, I'm Kyle Rickey. For Buddy Long and Ryan Preece, we'll see you next week.
You've been listening to NASCAR Coast to Coast. Tune in next Wednesday at 1 Eastern for more talk from local tracks all over America. NASCAR Coast to Coast is also available on demand in the MRN.com Media Center or download from iTunes or Stitcher. NASCAR Coast to Coast is a production of the Motor Racing Network. All rights reserved.